Okay, we are now recording Will's first brush with fame. Go.
Okay, I was 19. Okay, ripped from the Navy, and I attended Baltimore Science Fiction Convention, Balticon. While I was there, being a 19-year-old boy, I hit on a relatively young lady about the age of 25, 26. And she was all giggly about being hit on by a 19-year-old guy who was ripped from the Navy. And she invited me to a party. The party was being held by a publisher, Bantam House. And it was a lingerie party. No one was allowed inside the party unless they were wearing their underwear and nothing else. And being a good sport and being 19 years old and not really thinking about what this might entail, I stripped down to a pair of British flag boxer shorts, put on my cowboy hat, which I wore everywhere because I'm from Tucson, and my cowboy boots, and walked right inside. I was only down about 3 shots at that point. I would guess I was about 7 shots by the time it was all over. Now, the funny thing is that if you're going to hold something like this where women are walking around in negligees, the last thing you should have there is a photographer. But there was a photographer there. So I, 19-year-old Will, get a picture taken of me with my hand on somebody's boob and the other hand on somebody's ass, okay, smiling for the camera in my boxer shorts, which also had suspenders, but that's neither here nor there. Now, that should have been the end of it. However, that got put into a fanzine, okay? The fanzine got spread around, and pretty soon, everybody knew who I was, even if they didn't know what my name was. They'd say, boxer shorts. And of course, I would have to say, yeah, that was me. So I decide I'm going to get away from it because everybody knows me from that picture. And I mean, everybody. I can't walk down the street with somebody going, boxer shorts. So I decide I'm going to drive around the world. Okay, I get in my car, an old Oldsmobile diesel, and I chug on up the highway into Quebec through to Halifax, Nova Scotia. I stop in Halifax, sell my car, buy a plane ticket over to England. Okay, while I'm there, I stop in a strip club. Yes, they have strip clubs in Halifax, Nova Scotia, actually very nice ones. While I am there, a girl comes up to me and goes, oh my God, I know him. He's boxer shorts. So I get to sit there and get my photo taken with about 6 strippers, okay, all of whom are just agog with the fact that somebody as famous as boxer shorts their strip club. I go back to my hotel. I go to sleep. I wake up. By the way, it was the only hotel in Halifax, Nova Scotia, where there has been at least 15 deaths. Just happened to be the case. All in my room, but hey, boxers. I go over to England. I register with the National Union of Journalists over in England, and I head south. Okay. I head south down to Madrid, where I make down my base of operations as a foreign correspondent, right? Anybody could do it. I just decided to do it because, hell, I want to get the hell away from boxer shorts. So I'm down in Madrid. I'm riding a train on my way down to head into Morocco. And I happen to be on the train with a guy by the name of Michael Van Paris and his friend Shelley Snyder. Shelley is from Hawaii. Michael Van Paris is from Washington State. Shelley walks up to me and we became friends after this for quite a long time, walks up to me and says, "Excuse me, are you boxer shorts?" I am as far away from Baltimore as you can get. Okay, and I cannot. It actually took about 10 years before people stopped recognizing me from that one photo in one obscure fanzine. And that's why when I was told by my mentor, those who seek fame rarely deserve it, and those who deserve fame rarely seek it, I understood what he
Of course, Will, you do understand that from now on, anytime you're in a panel, I'm going to walk into the back of the room and go, "Boxer shorts!"
Tell you what, wait a minute. It's only degrading to me.
And we have consent.
It's all right. Oh my.
That's the pay channel on TusCon.
TusCon Uncensored.
Exactly.
Okay,
Red
so
light.
I am going to quickly go and grab a hat because it looks like the sun is shining out of my head.
okay.
But I will be about 5 seconds.
So we'll all just be very quiet until he returns.
That's a great story, Will. That was hilarious.
I find that the best stories are the ones where I fall flat on my face.
Yeah.
Because everybody can commiserate with me, and then you can laugh at your own face plants, and everybody has a good time.
But you've just named my next character, William Boxer Schwartz.
When I write Top Hand, which is the one book that wants to come out, but I'm holding it back. The main character's name is Robert BoobTube Knight, and he's a professional rodeo rider.
Okay, so we're going to be starting one time at TusCon. I'm going to be muting and shutting off my camera. The four of you start off by introducing yourselves. I'm going to be in chat, so if you wind up using any jargon or anything like that, I might put in a note. You can do something with it or not as either one of you continue on. And away we go.
First, he didn't tell us who should go first. Who leads off?
Ladies first.
Thank you for volunteering.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. My name is Bob Nelson. I am the owner of Brick Cave Media, which is a publishing company based in Mesa, Arizona. And I have been, going to TusCon for, I don't know, 8-9 years now, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Okay.
I'll pass it off to Will.
Hi, everybody. My name is William R. Herr. I am the author of such great works as 530 Return, my most recent, and From a Broken Land, not my most recent. I also wrote The Collective, which at one time outsold the Communist Manifesto and Ann Coulter's most recent book at the time, Demonic, all of which were basically on the same subject. I am a professional screw up. I make every mistake possible and then pass them along so other people don't do it. Beyond that, I am very happy to be here. I've been going to TusCon since I was abducted, drafted, and told I would get free beer if I spoke on a panel. That was about 8 years ago or something like that. I don't know. I'm going to pass this off to Bruce Wiley. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, everybody. I'm Bruce Wiley. I've been doing TusCon for, hold on to your Schwartz, 41 years. I started with TusCon 6 at the old Executive Inn. I have since gone to almost every TusCon that's been there since. I've been on the committee many, many times. I've everything from running security to running the convention. And yeah, I've seen a few weird things happen at TusCon, and we're going to talk about those tonight. And Hal, your turn.
Hi, everybody. I'm Halistel. I'm the evil overlord of the Apocalypse Later Empire, which includes way more things than I can run through in a reasonable amount of time. I write books about film. I run a film festival. I run CocoCon, a science fiction fantasy convention up in Phoenix. And I run Arizona Fandom, which aims to keep everybody in touch with everything that's happening in fandom in state. And hopefully that was in under 60 seconds. Oh, and I've been on a panel with Will Boxer Shorts Her.
Never gonna live it down. Never should have told the story.
Never should have. You'll never live it down.
That's okay.
Never, ever.
I'll wear, like my hat. You might notice my hat is chewed to bits. That was chewed to bits by my dog. I will wear it with pride.
Somebody will have that fanzine, and somebody will photocopy that fanzine, and it will be available freely at TusCon physical convention in 2021.
You know what the really sad part about it is?
It'll be the cover.
At the time, I was shopping around my first attempt at a novel called The Crux of Time, hard science fiction, which was horrible. It was a horrible, horrible, horrible novel. I mean, really, really bad. The science was bad, the plotting was bad, everything was bad, but I was 19, so what the hell did I know? But I was shopping it around and nobody remembered that novel, but everybody remembered my underwear.
That's right. Isn't that the way of it?
Yeah.
Oh. So Bruce, you've been here like longer than all of us almost combined.
Pretty close. Pretty close.
Yeah, I think so. I'm only 2015 and on, so yeah, I think you've got us all together and more.
Yeah, I got involved in TusCon because of friends of mine who worked a March of Dimes haunted house, who are also members of the SCA local chapter down here, the Barony of Terriscafere. And I kind of fell in with them, and the rest, they say, is history. But
which you can possibly read about at azfandom.org.
Probably. I think one of my favorite memories of TusCon happened very, very early in TusCon's history. It must have been at TusCon 9, TusCon 10.
That was back in the 50s, right?
1979, 1980, roughly.
Oh, okay. So everybody still had the horrible, horrible clothes, but at least they had bad hair to go with it.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, some of us don't have the hair anymore, but anyway, yeah, pretty much.
I can lend you some if you need.
Yeah, I might need it. What had happened was not part of the convention itself, which is really kind of funny because the guest of honor was I really hate it when the aphasia kicks in and you just can't remember anything.
Drunk, naked,
let's see.
Down and about.
Shots.
Card
games.
Whereabouts
anyway,
are we?
whoever.
We're about 1980, right? So
Yeah.
Is this George Martin the first time around?
No, it wasn't. Was the protege of Manly Wade Wellman. ER doctor. The name is just escaping right now. I should have had the crib notes. But so needless to say, the author in real life was a emergency room doctor. And this was at our old convention, our original convention hotel, the second hotel, the Executive Inn, which no longer exists. It was torn down this year. That it's right on the curve of Miracle Mile and Drockman in Tucson. If you've been through that area, you know this is a very, very sharp right-hand turn that people love to take at speed. Well, somebody took it at speed and mostly made the turn. impacting with a concrete light post, wrapping his car around it. So we hear about this, and the emergency squad for the convention, myself, James Koski, Charlie Engelstead, our guest of honor, and Dr. Paul Klenko, who's also an emergency room doctor, all go screaming out the front door. And I get Charlie in the back of the car. He's holding traction on the guy's neck. JJ and I are doing vitals. We got the two docs sitting there kibitzing because, well, that's all they can really do. Then TusCon Fire rolls up. We've already got the guy stabilized. He's just sitting there going, ah. And I started the spiel with the fire folk, just saying, okay, here's this, here's this, here's this, here's this, here's this. Take over, it's all yours. So that was probably one of the weirdest things that ever happened at a TusCon for me. Well, weird in a mundane way. Normal weirdness, convention stuff, that's normal.
Well, let's see. The strangest thing that ever happened to me at TusCon, I'm going to need everybody's help on this, because in order to recreate this, I'm going to need people to help me out through this.
I'm sorry, I don't own any underwear.
No, that's okay. It's not going to involve underwear. I actually got thrown out of the hotel for this. So it's the Sunday at the end of TusCon, my second time around, and a gentleman by the name of Fred Kutzweg decided he really wanted to know what I would be like drunk. Okay. So he brought a bottle of buttered popcorn rum. So it's rum that tastes like buttered popcorn. And if you think that sounds really foul, it is, but somehow you can stomach it and it's tasty, but it's foul at the same time. So we're sitting there, we're drinking the rum. And of course, we're starting to run low on rum. So I call up my wife and I tell her to bring down the 5 bottles of wine that I brought. She brings down the 5 bottles of wine. And we're all sitting around having a wonderful, wonderful time. Just being drunk on a Sunday at the TusCon Hotel. And I stopped and I looked at everybody and I said, you know what? I'm really disappointed in Tucson. And Darcy says, disappointed? Well, why? I said, well, I really expected that this was going to be more diverse, but you have like zero diversity. And she says, what? Shut the front door. I'm like, seriously. I said, how many religions do you have here at TusCon? I only see Christians, maybe a few people around the edges pretending not to be witches, but they're really witches because they're surrounded by conservative Christians. She says, well, no, but I said, no, what you need to do is you need to open up the barn doors and include everybody. I said, for instance, there is a religion in Taiwan where everybody worships video games. And she says, what? I said, yeah, it's a real thing. They all worship video games, and they have a chant that they do where they just say the name of the video console, and it brings them inner peace, and they feel that they come closer to the great gaming God who's out there. I said, let's embrace this. Okay, everybody together. They'll just sit there and they'll go, we. So everybody all together. 1, 2, 3. We are the champions, my friend. Dum, ba, da, dum.
Oh, we fell for that one.
Yeah,
I did.
Okay. Well, there I am. I'm singing at the top of my lungs, and then everybody's singing at the top of their lungs. And then security comes over and says, I'm sorry, we have to escort you out. You're not allowed to stay any longer. And that was the weirdest thing that ever happened to TusCon for me. So there you go. Pretty tame.
Hal, what's yours?
Good question. I'm not sure that I've really had a completely bizarre experience at TusCon. Certainly not a religious one. As the Archpriest of Chaos in the First United Church of Cthulhu, I do contribute to the diversity, but I haven't done, human sacrifice breakfasts at TusCon yet.
Yet.
I think the strangest thing that happened to me was becoming a fan guest of honor. I mean, that just came totally out of the blue. I wasn't expecting it. It just floored me, and I'd already been coming to Tucson for TusCon a couple of years, so I was already part of the family, and this made it even more part of the family. But is there a bizarre story that goes with that? I don't think so.
Secret deliberations to make you the chosen one are where the hilarity is.
Probably the strangest thing I've done was after, I think, one of the WestCon 70 parties we threw. I wandered around to see who else was up. I think we ended up at a Madame Askew's party that was still running, and I ended up doing crane-style tipsy tea dueling with people. That was fun, and I sort of stumbled out of there and somehow ended up in a hentai panel that Autumn Ivy was leading. It was a very memorable evening, but truly bizarre? I don't think so. That's normal con behavior, isn't it, Bruce?
Pretty close to it. It's funny you were mentioning about being fan guest of honor. They honored my wife Peggy and I one year, and they did it as a surprise. They didn't put anything in the program book at all. They just, and I was starting going, why don't we have a fan guest of honor this year? I mean, they were breaking tradition. I'm a real traditionalist when it comes to conventions. You got to have certain things. And they just, they announced it, and we're going, what? It was the one that had Will Shetterly and Emma Bull as the guests of honor. And it floored us completely. We were incredibly honored, of course, but we were just completely floored, and we're not prepared at all to get up and say anything to anybody. So
I'm going to go find the TusCon 33 program book now and see what's in there.
Exactly. Someone's got his page up and is like scrolling. Okay, he's referring to this, and that's
Absolutely.
it. Okay. Smart man.
Benefits of azfandom.org.
Exactly. Unabashed plug.
Strategic plug.
What about you, Bob?
My I wouldn't say it was the weirdest, but one of my favorite moments was actually a panel that I did with Hal, and it was an authors panel, and it was Hal and I and Jennifer Roberson, and I apologize, I don't remember who else was on that. Hal, do you remember?
I'm trying to think.
We took that panel, and it was I don't even remember what it was supposed to be about, but we just took it out in the field, and we just left the track with it. And it was the very first time that I had met Jennifer, and I think I scared the living daylights out of her because we just kind of took that panel and we just went driving out into the field. And there's a picture that we took where I did a selfie, and just the look on her face is like, oh my God, I'm so scared right now. How do I get out of here? It was actually ridiculous amounts of fun.
I got into trouble on a panel at TusCon accidentally. It was a panel on space exploration and why it hasn't really gone where it should have gone for the longest time. I have no idea why I was on the panel, but hey, I'll show up and have fun.
You were on.
This is fandom. We can talk about anything, right? And one of the key points that was made was that audience sort of involvement in Apollo moon missions was great. We're doing amazing things. Isn't this fantastic? And then it was a little less fantastic because, we did it last year and we did it the year before, and we're just doing another one. So gradually audience dropped off until one of the spacecraft exploded. And suddenly the audience comes back. So, oh my God, what's happening? And I threw out an offhand comment about, are you actually suggesting that the way to involve the public in NASA is to blow up more spaceships? And, it obviously it wasn't serious, and, it was a fair reaction to the point. And I saw this guy in the audience cringe. And of course he works for NASA. A whole bunch of his friends work for NASA. He knew people that blew up on some of these spacecraft, and I had to apologize afterwards. But I always learn things on panels, what to say, what not to say.
That is very, very true.
Speaking of panels, I guess my favorite panel at TusCon had to be why dystopia. The subject was why are all the kids' books dystopian novels right now, right?
Well, they have to grow up. I mean,
Yeah, there were 5 people on the panel, and evidently a 6th one was trying to get onto the panel and didn't. But I was already confirmed for the panel, and I think this was my first TusCon, if I recall correctly. So that I was one of the guests. Actually, that was my first TusCon. I had never been to TusCon before then. Anyway, so I show up to this panel, ready for there just be this packed panel, and everybody wants to hear everybody talk, and I'll just kind of fade into the woodwork. And one person showed up for the panel other than me. Okay, so there was 2 of us, and there was one person in the audience. And I forget who the other person was on the panel, but she turns to me and she says, "Should we just cancel?" And I said, "Oh, hell no. I'll play to an empty room. I don't care. I'm getting in here for free, so I got to earn my keep." So we start talking, and we start talking. This is the panel. This is my name. This is your name, right? And I said, wait, stop. And I look at the person in the audience. I said, "I would like, if you don't mind, if you could please walk out the door into the lobby, shout, 'Oh my God, it's a steel cage match to the death in here,' and then walk back in." And she does, right? And then we continue this, and about 5 people walk in to see what's going on, right? And we talked for about 15 minutes. I said, "Oh, wait. Excuse me, ma'am. Would you please walk out this door, shout, 'Holy crap, it's the battle of the sexes to the death in here,' and then walk back in?" She said, "Sure." And I kept doing this about every 10 minutes. By the time it was over, it was standing room only, okay? People jumping up and down and laughing as we're just going back and forth on this stuff. And the last question, as we were saying, what constitutes a dystopia? Would you know it if you were in a dystopia? Why is the dystopia so prevalent in everything? The very last question that we ended off, somebody raised his hand and says, "Excuse me, is this a dystopia?" And we all laughed. I said, "If it isn't, we've done something wrong." And then we all, most fun panel I ever had. Can't take anything too seriously anymore. My God, my voice is starting to come back. Good.
Oh no.
The thing that I really enjoy about doing the panels at TusCon is the fact that you are embraced. The whole thing about TusCon being such a small community and being so tight. When I had gone a couple of years before I started going on to panels, and so when we started going on panels, everybody was like, "Yeah, this is exciting. We get to hear you talk about stuff." And I just enjoyed that family atmosphere. Everybody came in and was like, "Hey, talk to us," and that really puts, I think, TusCon a couple of steps above most of the other conventions that you see.
Absolutely. I'd been going to Phoenix Comic-Con that was for a couple of years before I discovered, local science fiction fandom. And going from, it wasn't 130,000 then, but it was a lot bigger than, Leprechaun or CopperCon. And going from a big convention to a small one and discovering that community was a real eye-opener. And one of the first things I learned up in Phoenix, where fandom is, shall we say, often broken, was, hey, you should go down to Tucson. They have a TusCon every year, and it's amazing. So, you know, that's why we went. And absolutely, it's a family. Like Alice Masolia says, you know, these conventions aren't really events. They're house parties with 300 of our closest friends.
Yeah.
I really fell out of love with conventions before TusCon. I wasn't interested at all in being part of the convention scene. Conventions were just a reason for a whole lot of people to have a party and for authors to sit at a table with their hands together, right, and wait for somebody to come up and maybe recognize them and maybe want to buy a book.
Boxer shorts!
Yeah. Or that, yeah.
It's like, haha, that's funny, Al.
But I come to TusCon. I mean, I was dragged to TusCon by Nicole Liberty. Some of you may know her. She dragged me to TusCon. She said, you absolutely, while you're in town, while you're writing in town, because I had come into town to take a 2-week vacation to write a book. She says, while you are in town, you have to come to TusCon. You have to come to TusCon. You have to visit. It's a really nice convention. I said, yeah, okay, what the hell? I'm not really into conventions, but I can fade into the woodwork and watch people walk around, see a couple of girls shake their boobies. You know, it's all good. You know, I'll just do it when my wife's not watching. I show up, and the very first thing she does as I walk in, she grabs me by my ear. Every year, somebody grabs me by my ear and escorts me somewhere. Okay. She grabs me by my ear, drags me over to Joe Palmer, says, Joe, I brought you an author. Put him on panels. And Joe says, okay, well, you know what? I have a few things and people who cancel. I'm like, what the hell did I get myself into? You know, but I am so happy she did that. TusCon has got to be the best convention I have ever attended. And I've been to some of the mega conventions and a lot of small ones. But this is one where I could just sit down and have a drink with Bill Malone or Eric Shoemaker, or we could just sit around and BS with other authors, talk shop about marketing, the whole 9 yards. It's a fantastic event and a fantastic environment.
Yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree with that. It's definitely of the myriad of events, I guess, that we do on a regular basis, it's one of our favorites that we look forward to every year, just because of that.
Yeah, and those authors are very friendly. One of my favorite moments at TusCon was the year I was signing downstairs at the hotel, and I was 2 over from Timothy Zahn, who was the guest of honor. And, you know, Timothy Zahn is just, you know, huge, and he had a line in the corner, and there's people with stacks of books, and gradually over an hour, that line decreased and decreased and decreased as people got their books signed. And eventually it vanished. And somebody came up to my table, and I looked over and goes, oh, yes, I've got a longer line than Timothy Zahn. And he looked back and said, I'm not threatened. Yes, I'm home.
Yeah, good times. I remember one of the first panels that I went on was a filmmaking panel, and Weston was on it. And this was like the first time I'd interacted with Weston, and it was a fantastic panel. And we talked about filmmaking, but we were a couple of years out from having shot the Sacrifice film that we made. And just the amount of respect that you get from everybody there and everybody else on the panels is just, it's gratifying. It just makes you feel good because you know that you're with people that get it, you know?
You don't have imposter syndrome.
Exactly.
You walk into
You really don't. And people,
you know, you could be kicking back with George R.R. Martin in the con suite. He was talking to everybody, having a good old time. You could be talking to somebody and find out that they published like 50 books, you know, and here you've got 1 book to your name, or 2 books, or 3, or whatever, and nobody cares. Everybody's talking shop. Everybody's having a great old time, and not a single person yet in any TusCon I've been at has brought up politics, and That's what makes it nice. You know what? I don't care what your politics are. Do you like science fiction? There you go.
That's another good point.
You were on a YA dystopia panel and you didn't bring up politics?
No. YA dystopia. Are you kidding? You can, I mean, if you ask
I know
me,
you can.
every fan says all writing is political. Okay, it just depends on what you're doing. I say no writing is political unless you inject the politics into it. Everything else is satire. But nobody asks me my political party. Nobody will ask me my political inclinations, my philosophical leanings. I mean, if anybody did, I'd say, well, I'm into human sacrifices and orgies. It's where I would be if my wife got me cheese.
You definitely need to join the First United Church of Cthulhu. It's a very easy to remember website. It's fucc.it.
Nice.
Good one. Yeah, but one thing that you also pointed to about people just being at TusCon, I think that's one of the things I've always really liked about TusCon is just the people who will just suddenly appear. It's been a long history. I mean, one year, Bob Aspirin just showed up out of the blue, brought his guitar. We all sat around singing songs, hitting shots. This is back when Bob was still a seriously drinking man. And it was a good time. Another one just recently was Eric Flint. His wife was attending a dog show at the hotel, and he finds out there's a con going on. And so he comes over to the table and says, "Hi, I'm Eric Flint." And everyone goes, "Eric Flint!" And because, the 1632 series was really seriously taking off at this point. And he got stuck on a panel that he and I were in together, actually two of them. And it was a hell of a fun. He's one of my favorite authors. Don't like his politics, but what the heck? He's still a great writer.
I remember that. And the problem that Bob and I have that I don't think you guys have is that it's a long way for us to go home to get our stack of Eric Flint books to get signed.
Go buy a new one. To go back to the story about the car accident, it was TusCon 10, because I just happened to be at the Illustrated History of TusCon. It was our biker doctor, Carl Edward Wagner, who was at the time, fortunately, he's passed away now, but he was an emergency room doctor, and that was part of the whole thing. But just wanted to say, I actually can do my own research. Thank you very much. But and again, just people who just suddenly just come out of the blue and do something unusual at TusCon. Kurt Booth's first convention, he and another rather large gentleman decide to put an Egyptian garb and dance with the whole hand stuff around in a circle to walk like an Egyptian. And he got a crowd to follow him around in a circle. And that was that kind of fan act that I just really love seeing at TusCons, because it's so spontaneous. And it just makes the convention that much more fun.
Well, it's a celebration, and it really should be. It's a 3-4 day celebration of everything that's good about what we love, and that's why it keeps people coming back, because they know they're with other people that celebrate that with them.
I like the fact that TusCon, a lot of conventions and a lot of the convention types break down into cliques, and it becomes cliques of like-minded people discussing everything they hate about the world, okay, rather than everything that they love about the world. And it has not become a center of toxic inclusivity. I guess if I had to coin a phrase, or toxic exclusivity, I should say, where if you don't think like I do, then you aren't welcome, because nobody cares how you think. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter. and I have no idea who you guys are going to vote for. And I can tell you I'm voting for Bullwinkle. And people who say I'm throwing my vote away, hey, if everybody were to vote for Bullwinkle, we could affect serious change in this country. Okay, so don't tell me I'm wasting my vote. You're wasting your vote. But
don't know my own strength.
Yeah, hey, watch me pull a tax break out of the hat. Wow.
Again?
Yeah, I'm pretty safe as a UK citizen. I'm not eligible to vote, so I can't vote for the wrong guy.
You're UK. Are you? You sound like you have an Australian accent.
I do, but I'm not Australian in the slightest. I've never been there. Put me next to an Aussie, and you'll realize how I don't sound Aussie. But yeah, it's. I was born down south, grew up north. Put the Essex and Yorkshire together, I sound like an Aussie, and then 16 years of West Phoenix has completely messed with the whole thing.
Clapham in London is my second home.
Wow.
My mother grew up in London, and was a girl during the Blitz of England, and she grew up in Clapham, in London, in England, an East Ender, if you're familiar with the show. And and I've been back there like 12, 15 times. I mean, it's
my family is, well, a whole chunk of my family came out of the East End, but I think we're completely diverting from TusCon. So
yeah, I'm sorry.
Where were we going next?
Whatever.
Yeah, that guy that claims to moderate can step up if he wants us to go back on task.
Yeah, this is why we need a moderator, right?
Oh.
I was on a panel on xenoarchaeology and why would anybody be interested in our remains after we're gone? And it went from xenoarchaeology to xenobiology to who would win in a fist fight, Santa Claus or Sasquatch. Okay, and nobody stays on topic.
Yeah, that is one of the charms of TusCon for me, because I do a lot of conventions up here in Phoenix, and we tend to stay on point a lot more. We tend to have more moderators. We tend to try and behave a little bit. We can still have fun with it, but we try and have fun on the topic. Whereas TusCon, we can go anywhere, absolutely anywhere. I mean, there's been panels I've on that I'm not sure what panel we were on when we finished, but it certainly wasn't the one that we started on.
It wouldn't be a TusCon if the discussion didn't wander a bit.
Oh, that was the voice of Eon High.
And I think that's why you guys throw people onto odd panels. People have their core strengths and things they can speak to, things they have expertise on, and you put us on the panels that fit. But you also tend to throw us on something else.
I think Scott does that on purpose. I think he throws us into panels just to be mean to us.
Just as a wild card. What can you do with this?
Let's see how you talk about this. Here, I'm going to put you on a panel with Bruce Davis. You're going to talk about medical stuff. Oh, great. Thanks.
I've been to the hospital.
Yeah. I've seen long words.
Okay.
Not in space, but.
As a kind of a wrap-up situation, because we are starting to push our hour limit here. What do you think was your favorite experience at a convention? Not necessarily TusCon.
Oh.
Run that by me one more time.
Any convention.
Any convention?
Any convention. Favorite thing that ever happened.
Well, I mean, I'd have to say the movie that I made was a Phoenix Comic-Con film pick for their festival. That's a pretty big event, and to have your film pick to show at it was pretty cool. It actually happened to us twice, so we had 2 films that got selected over the course of a couple of years.
For me, I think one of my favorite situations that ever happened at a convention was actually the Leprechaun. Buzz Aldrin, the first man who knew he could walk safely on the moon, put your feet where Neil did, and if he disappears and he's nowhere around, turn around, go back in the limo and leave. Was on a panel talking about how hard it was to work in space in Gemini 6 during a spacewalk, because he's always fighting the inflation of the suit. And I'm sitting next to this one guy, tall, lanky guy with a hat, who's asking some really super intelligent questions. Then I realize I'm sitting next to Spider Robinson. Like, you know?
I think I'll jump in here because that reminds me of one. I mean, there are so many at so many different events, but I think being in the con suite at WesterCon 68 in San Diego, we'd gone to pitch the bid for WesterCon 70, and we were networking. But you know, I think I was just taking a break and just chatting with people in the con suite, and got into this really deep conversation that, like TusCon, goes absolutely everywhere, and realized that everybody in the room was a complete expert on something. You know, sometimes the expert on something. And names kept walking through the room. You know, it's like, oh, hi, there's Dennis Etchison. You know, oh, there's David Brin. It's like, where am I here? Am I in a parallel universe? What's going on? But one of the guys was, and I can't remember his name, but he was an expert on pretty much everything. He said he'd actually run a convention within a convention, a science fiction convention within a science convention. It was the most exclusive convention that anybody has ever had. I think there were about 4 people there. You had to have 3 PhDs to get in. You know, it was Marvin Minsky and the guy from A Beautiful Mind and Carl Sagan. And, you know, I mean, it was the cream of the cream. And this guy hosted it. And he's done everything. And apparently he's been described online as the most interesting man in the world. And he came, as he was leaving, I went to chat and see if I could find out actually who he was and, you know, get contact card or something. And he said, oh, actually, the reason I stopped for this conversation was because I'd overheard you at dinner last night talking about, I think it was Charlie Chaplin, because I just published a book on him. And I thought you were interesting. I thought, oh, wow. You know, the most interesting man in the world thought I was interesting and joined a conversation because I was in it. That's like the best thing that's ever happened to me in fandom. And then a moment later, some young lady came up to him and said, oh, wow, you know everybody. And then asked to be introduced to me. And it was like, oh, crap. Okay. Reality check right there. Everybody knows who he is. Nobody knows who I am. But what a wonderful afternoon. It was just incredible.
We got Will.
Boxer shorts.
My favorite moment, while you guys have been telling your stories, I've been thinking. And my favorite moment at any convention, doesn't have to be TusCon, is actually from a TusCon. And it's actually a series of moments. I was on a midnight panel with Eric Shoemaker, Jay Smith, Sarah Mirasola, and I always forget his name. Meteorite Man. Anybody remember his name?
Jeff Notkin.
Yes, there you go, Jeff. Jeff Notkin. We're all on this panel together. We are all drunk out of our minds. Okay. I mean, I started out tipsy and continued drinking through the panel, but Jeff and Sarah both showed up from another event, and they were off their minds drunk. And I was told later that one of Sarah's boobs fell out of her shirt for a while she was talking, and then she just absolutely did continue the conversation. But the convention was, have we reached the robot sex singularity? Right, where we achieved the point of robot sex. That was the topic of the panel. So it was a midnight panel, X-rated, the whole 9 yards. I just can't let things be, and I said, well, is it possible to rape a robot? And so we start getting back and forth. Is it possible to rape a robot? A robot is a tool. You know, what does it mean? Can a robot say no? Well, only if it's programmed to say no. Well, if it's programmed to say no, that's part of the program. It's not really sentience. It's just the programmer saying no about something that he doesn't own. You know, we just go back and forth on this. And we're walking out of this panel, staggering out of this panel. And if you want to see what the panel looked like, you can look on my Facebook page. And the background is, I've been told it looks a lot like The Last Supper, but it's actually that particular panel. And I said to Jeff, I said, I said to Eric Shoemaker, I said, you know what? I'm going to write a screenplay on this subject. And Eric says, well, I want to see it. So we leave. And I head back to Pennsylvania with my wife. My wife can live in Pennsylvania, but she can't live in Tucson. I can live in Tucson and I can live in Pennsylvania. So we live in Pennsylvania. So anyways, and I'm sitting down to write, and I'm having a little bit of a writer's block on the book I'm working on. So I just said, well, what about this screenplay? I sit down and I type out Act 1 in about a day and a half, right? And I stopped and I look at it, I said, you know what, this is pretty good. And I think, you know what, Jeff, Eric was just being nice. He was just being nice. You know, he wasn't. If some guy wrote a video, I've got a screenplay, you deal with that all the time. So I just set it aside, right? Next TusCon, I show up. And almost immediately, I'm on a panel with Eric. And Eric said, look, on the way into the panel, Eric turns to me and says, where's that screenplay? And I said, I thought you were just being nice. You know, I got it half written and I stopped because I realized you didn't actually want to see screenplay. You were just trying to get me out of the way. He said, no, I really want to read that screenplay. I said, okay, I'll have it done for you in a month or less. So this guy is standing next to him and he says, you think you can write a screenplay in a month? And I said, well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's harder to write a book because I got to write all the background and everything else. With a screenplay, you got just have to worry about the meaning behind the words that are written. He said, I want to see you do that. I'm like, okay. And Eric turns and says, by the way, Will, meet Bill Malone. Hi, Bill. I have no idea who Bill Malone is. I'm not a Harvard aficionado, right? So we do the panel. I leave. I throughout the rest of the day, I meet Bill Malone. I find out who he is and all the stuff he's done. And now I feel really sheepish. I go back home after the convention. I finish off the screenplay. I fire it out. It takes me a week to finish it. I fire it out to Eric. And I'm like, there's something I will never see again. Okay, it's probably a piece of crap. Okay, but Bill Malone had said to me, you know what? Just do it. Just do it. Don't worry about whether you're good enough. Just do it. So I did. Eric gets back to me. He says, it's intelligent. It has pathos. It's hard hitting. I want it. And he optioned me right there. I mean, that's my favorite memory from any convention. Just the whole, I stumbled into a screenplay for no good reason.
Yeah, and knowing Eric, he probably made the film at the next TusCon.
No, actually, he hasn't made the film yet. He wants to make this. He wants to make this a well-distributed production. So he's looking for, I think, $1.6 million in funding.
Oh wow!
The name of the movie will be Sentience, and it is a courtroom drama about
the subject of.
Yeah, it is a courtroom drama about whether or not a robot can be sentient and what we are doing to ourselves by automating every facet of our lives in an effort to be happy.
It is a better title than Can I Rape a Robot?
Yeah, I'm going with that. Yeah.
It'll probably sell better under Sentience, yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, I don't know. I mean, are you going for the teenage buyer,
I think there's a
teenage voice, just like John Norman. So is that the end?
Are we done?
I think they want to do a Q&A thing at the very end, but I don't know. It depends on what Scott wants to do.
Okay, so Scott vanished. Blue screen of death. He's back. Welcome back. And mention the Q&A. Hey, everybody, there's a Q&A.
All right, do the Q&A.
Don't forget about the Q&A. Will there be a Q&A after the Q&A? That's what I want to know.
Supposed to like be present at the Q&A and answering questions? Is that the idea there, oh great moderator on high?
If there's a T&A, I need to get some boxer shorts.
The plan. The plan is that after we edit it and do all the stuff, we'll run it, and then you guys will actually be live on Saturday, answering any questions that any of the TusCon folk have.
Okay, I will plan to be available on Saturday. I won't smoke any meat.
We can make up answers, like we can just invent our own answers. And
Yeah, it's Saturday night.
Right?
Welcome
Right?
to the Q&A.
Live from your living room, it's Saturday night.
And my answer is 47. 42 is just overdone.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, thanks so much for being here. Thank you guys for doing this. Remember, sign up for the Eventbrite. Remember, push this on social media. We're trying to post stuff on the TusCon Facebook, but and Instagram. I think if you guys are on any social media that we're not on, just post away. We're trying to get a lot of people to see it, of course. And we have great sponsors, including Brick Cave. Thank you very much. And we'll send you an email probably 2 days before the convention with a rough schedule. So that way you guys will know roughly when your stuff is posting.
Okay.
All right.
Very good.
As
Okay.
always, please feel free to share whatever you like about TusCon on the Arizona Fandom Facebook group.
Thank you, everybody, for this
Yeah,
wonderful
thanks, Bill.
panel.
It was good to see you.
It's good seeing all you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been too long, and not having a physical convention this year, yeah, that's not good. So
Yeah, it's been a rough year. It's been kind of crappy.
Okay,
All right.
guys. Thanks.
On that happy note, good night, all.
Take care, everyone.